more humbled and more thrilled that you guys took the time to come and see this. About a year ago, Katie sent me a draft of a play that she had written, Rotten Ruin. I read it like you do when a friend of you sends you something. Okay. I was so impressed, so excited with the potential for the theatrical, the dramatic, exciting potential of this play that I said, oh my God, we have to work on this. For the better part of the last year, we put in so many delightful hours working together, and it's been great for me because I can't write my name. But she's been very, very generous in allowing me to have little bits of input and everything, and editing and everything, and it's all led to tonight, where we're going to actually have some very, very talented actors work the play out for you. Now, I'd just like to tell you a few things. Tonight, you're going to see 5 actors playing 4 roles that will be in the play of Rotten Ruin. I'll explain what they are in a moment. 1 extra actor who is going to be performing the part of narrator. This play is very visual, very, very, so much happens above and beyond the dialogue that we felt that we needed to turn a lot of the stage direction into a narration. And the narrator will not appear in the finished production, but it is very ably performed tonight by Mr. Alex Rice. The play surrounds the Coswell family, post-Civil War in North Carolina. The woman in the family is Anna Coswell Crane, who is performed tonight by Georgina Medina. Holding down the fort while the men are off to war. Her father comes, Jethro Coswell comes home. He was a surgeon in the army, and he comes home like all soldiers after all wars, beat up, and he's performed by Mr. David Brooks. Anna's husband, Nathaniel Crane, comes home shortly after Jethro, also from the war, and he is performed by Mr. Eric Stein-Steele. Nathaniel's second in command is a young man named Thomas Williams, and he eventually finds his way to the Coswell farm as well. And he is portrayed by Mr. Jason Reale. 4 of the characters who will appear in this play, 3 Confederate soldier ghosts who do not have lines. Therefore, they're going to be described, and we're going to ask you to bring them to life with your imagination. They sort of haunt, particularly Jethro. We also have a very mysterious form of a woman who may or may not be Anna's mother, Jethro's dead wife. She also does not have any lines. She will also be described by our narrator. And in the second act, there's a 7-year-old boy named Leslie, who is also mute, and he will not appear tonight, but he will appear in your imagination. All right, that I think gives you the background. I'd just like to introduce our playwright, Katrina Dixon.
Thank you so much for coming, you guys. I really can't thank everybody's support and coming out enough. I mean, he really gave you the rundown of pretty much everything I might have said, but beyond that, I mean, I can't thank him enough for taking, lighting a fire under my ass and going, we're going to make this happen, so you don't just sit in the room and rewrite this for 15 years, which I appreciated. Quick little shout out to, I have a couple of other friends in the audience. Michael Pecos notably is in here as well, who got early versions as well and gave me a lot of feedback. And then Once I got it over to Richard, then we worked hours endlessly, like you said, and so thank you so much for all your guys' time and patience working on that. Beyond that, I would say the purpose of the play was originally contrived as what's the story behind a haunted house, because it always drove me nuts. That I'd watch these haunted house movies, and at the end of it, you're like, okay, but you never really told me why it's haunted, and that was all I cared about. So that was the idea, but I also wanted to explore how war affects people and how it affects the relationships they have with others, and that every person is affected differently and may go in extreme directions from the same experience. So that was the idea, and more than anything, I wanted to explore how messy human relationships can be, and that everything we did is shades of gray, and nothing is ever clear cut. So that was the idea of the play, and yeah, beyond that, just a reminder, silence your cell phones, and we have done our best to make the lighting a little more moody by turning off that one, but we don't really have great lighting for this, so we're gonna work with that, and our actors are gonna carry you away, and you're not gonna get a rat fast about the lighting. So, with no further ado, let us begin.
The scene is an exterior and interior of a battered farmhouse in North Carolina in the weeks following the end of the American Civil War. A figure in a hooded cloak is braving the pelting rain and digging in the yard of the Coswell house. 3 bodies wrapped in sheets lay nearby in a small completed grave marked with a tiny wooden cross. The scene darkens to reveal 2 shadowy male figures in the house. A ghostly woman walks silently up the theater aisles and disappears into the house as the scene fades to black. Act 1, Scene 1. North Carolina, 1865. Anna, worn out by the hard war years, stands working in the kitchen window. She is noticeably pregnant. Behind her stands a woman in pale clothes and stringy hair. The woman is unnoticed by Anna. A man in boots enters up the theater aisle toward the house. Jethro enters. He is dressed in a blood-stained, shabby remains of a gentleman's suit. He is clearly exhausted. He carries a small, tattered doctor's bag.
I've forgotten what you look like. You're always pretty as a pebble. Maybe a little wilted now, but nothing like your mother.
I never understood what charm you saw in her. She was no great beauty. Your memory is going if you've already forgotten my face since your last sleep,
Your tongue is sharpened, Annabelle.
and yours has stalled. Come inside. Clean up. I'll have supper ready presently.
Haven't sat down to supper in a long time.
How long are you home for then?
Well, I'm not. For a while.
Anna guides Jethro up the steps. The woman stands in the doorway watching them. Can Jethro see her?
Looks quite different.
That's because there's nothing left. The regiments took everything when they passed through. Didn't much matter what side they were on. Desperate, scrounging dogs, all of them.
Did they get your mother's painting as well?
It's still in your room. No one wanted that frightening eyesore. I'd used it for kindling myself if it weren't for fear of retribution from the dead. Now you go clean up in the washroom, and I trust you remember where that is.
Anna slips past the woman through the door and exits. The woman follows her. Jethro seems to notice the motion, and after she exits, he calls out,
Mary?
There's no one to be seen through the door now. Lights fade to black. Act 1, Scene 2. Lights come up on Anna. She's in the garden outside of the house. Jethro is sitting on the porch. In a window, the woman watches them.
I don't suppose you have the strength to carry these to the kitchen for me. Oh, Lord. Forgive it, Pa. I'll do it. You've become a damned ignoramus.
That any way to speak to your old pawn?
Well, it is when you're even less useful around here than you were while you were off sticking your hands in soldiers' guts. All you do is stare off into some abyss. At least before the damn war, I didn't have to feed you as well.
What has happened to you, my sweet, loving Annabelle? You would never speak to me in that way before.
Oh, yes, please, Pop. Feel free to ask insipid questions, seeing as how that's what I have time for in all the livelong day.
Insipid. I have every right to ask you any
Do
damn
you
thing.
want to know what happened to your sweet, loving daughter? While you and Nate were out there playing cowboys and Indians, our neighbors dropped dead like flies. Mother and I starved and scraped turnips from this earth until we couldn't remember what it was to have a full belly. The night I buried Mother, I wrote to you both, begged for you to come home. There was blood on the paper from the blisters. Do you remember? Or did you even bother to read them? No. You just waited until you were damn good and ready to return and burden me with your presence. If Nate ever shows up, he'd best be of more use than you.
I know you were lonely. I'm so sorry, Annabelle. But I'm here now. I've returned to you, my darling girl.
I don't have need for you anymore, Pop. Do me the favor of abandoning me again. Now get on and let me be.
I am still the master here. I will not be ordered about in my own house.
Make no mistake, Pop. I run this house now. I need no papers for it to be so.
You ungrateful creature. You were always taking advantage of my favor.
Your favor holds no power here. And there's not a man alive who would suffer your favor.
Where's that blackguard of a husband of yours when he's needed? It's time he reminded you of some manners.
If the brute finds his way home, it won't make a lick of difference. The ladies rule the house in these lands now. We have to take charge, you see. Else, how would we manage it all with you boys off shooting your loads off of each other?
The woman moves silently away a bit and stares at them. Jethro stares, peering at the figure.
Who is that? Who's that that's been in the house with us?
Anna gathers the basket once more and exits into the house, leaving Jethro on his own, as lights fade to black. Act 1, Scene 3. As lights come up on the front of the house, we see the woman standing half hidden around the corner of the house. Nathaniel enters from the back, carrying a travel sack. Anna rounds the corner of the porch, carrying a basket of laundry, and collides with him.
Nay.
Hello, Anna.
Oh, my. Aren't you a mess? I can't imagine they let you parade around like that in the officers' clubs.
There weren't a whole grand many of those to be had of late, but I am sore in need of a bath and a shave.
Are you on leave? How long are you planning on staying this time? The last sleep was hardly long enough to rumple the sheets, and then you were gone by morning light. You never even spoke to me. Pa's last sleep was some 6 months ago. He hardly slept a night either. Of course, he was dead drunk, still is.
It's not leave, Anna. It's over. It's been over, well gone a month now. It just took me this long to get back in the country. Lord, have you been living under a rock?
Well, good then. Pa's home too, but he's as useless as hen's teeth. before you go and get all clean, you may as well feed that old nag out back for me while I hang this laundry.
That is no proper breeding for a soldier.
What do you want, Nick? Did you expect me to piddle on the floor and give you kisses like some whimpering pup? I'm glad you're home. Be content with that.
Nathaniel knocks the basket from her arms, grasping her by the shoulder and planting her against the wall of the house firmly.
This is not the girl I married. I don't know who you are, but I expect some respect.
You didn't get enough of that as a porno? I'd have thought you'd be sick of flattery by now.
Anna plants a rough, hard kiss on his lips.
Now go feed that damn horse and come up to the house. Dinner will be on the table.
Anna retrieves her basket and exits behind the house. Nathaniel watches after her a moment, and then moves to a pile of hay in the corner, tossing it over the fence to an unseen horse. The lights fade to black. Act 1, Scene 4. The lights come up in the dining room where Anna and Jethro sit at a meager supper table. The woman a few feet from them, watching. Nathaniel enters. Anna dishes his food and he digs in unceremoniously.
This is the first real meal I've had in months.
At my table, we will have prayer before food.
This is the first real meal I've had in months. God can stand in line for my attention behind the full belly.
This is still my house, Nathaniel.
Do your praying and pipe down, old man.
What do we have for the coming season in the storehouse?
Well, next to nothing. Some hominy, some salted beef, and I managed to trade off the army for some blankets.
So what are our chances in town?
You wouldn't make it halfway. The road into town is littered with criminals, and you'll be lucky if they let you walk home after they knock you off that old nag.
We can't survive off roots alone.
No, indeed we can't. Luckily, along with your bellies came experienced hands and guns. Nathaniel would hunt for us, and I will continue to do the farming. You needn't worry your pretty little head, Pa. I won't let you starve.
Did it occur to you that I've done my own fair share of the killing?
And how, pray tell, might you come out the other side of 3 deaths of starvation? Your own included, I might add, because you weren't willing to kill a hare?
If it's a hare you desire killing, it's a hare you shall have. With a full belly, I say good night.
His arrogance is even worse than it was, if that's possible.
War has made it worse of everyone, Pa. Now eat your dinner before you starve out of spite.
If your mother ever heard you...
Mother would have told you to take a ride. She had no more patience for your heirs than I do now. There's no throne for you to claim in this house. I will not hand it over to be willy-nilly into the ground for us all to starve while you stumble about in a fog.
There's any justice in this world!
If there is any justice in this world, you both would have been shot dead, and I would be burdened with your cockfighting and your hungry bellies.
The woman appears, reaching her hand forward as if to touch Jethro. He feels her presence, but does not turn.
Leave me be. I tried. I really tried.
The lights fade on the dining room. Act 1, Scene 5. The lights come up as Anna enters Nathaniel's bedroom as he dresses for bed. She carries a cup of tea. The woman enters after Anna and watches from the shadows.
Has the ability to knock been swept away with civilization?
Have you ever asked permission to enter the room?
It never occurred to me that my presence in a room should be questioned. A lady, on the other hand. But as no lady stands before me now.
You You smelled the pretense a mile off. From the moment you met me, I knew I didn't have you fooled. You knew I was no more a lady than... Well, isn't that what made you pursue me?
No.
Well, what was it then?
I have no patience for a cat and mouse game tonight, Hannah.
Well, it wasn't my inheritance. You could have bought out a land with a snap of your fingers and never paid me any money.
Well, it certainly would have made life easier. But as it is, even if the land is all that's left for either of us, it's enough to make a life away from people, away from the ruin of society, away from the eyes of others. I hope you weren't intending on being a socialite again.
He goes to drink and hesitates and offers it to her. She takes a sip and looks at him as if to say, see, safe.
Well, you?
That life entertained me once just as it did you? No.
Once.
The war rather exhausted the appeal of that life, as are you just now. You're wearing a tired man thin. I have little interest in anything beyond a night's sleep, to tell you the truth.
You're tired. Pa's tired. We all are. And yet, it's as though we've been walking in a nightmare for years.
My last leave was a waking dream. I had something on my mind I couldn't shake loose.
Have you shaken loose then, or am I still standing in the shadow of your distraction?
It doesn't matter. I'm home. I did miss you.
What did you miss about me?
I miss company that was not cannon fire and wailing men.
Is that all? You've missed what I'm not?
I didn't realize I would be coming home to a wailing baby. Was the old man pleased? Or does he want to drown me?
God's truth, I think he isn't sure himself, and neither am I.
We'll survive.
If you really want to make up for your last visit.
Nathaniel moves to turn into her embrace, only to brush up against her pregnant belly. He places his fingers on either side of her chin and jerks her head up to look at him, clear in the eye.
Don't try that, Simba. I'm not playing your games. You're just as bad as... I'm going to bed. Close the door on your way out.
I thought I should keep you company for the night.
Join me at your own peril. I have not had a mattress to myself since I left this damn place, and I have no desire to share it.
Anna exits. The woman stays, watching Nathaniel. Nathaniel kicks off his boots and slumps atop the bed. The woman approaches slowly, and for a long moment, simply watches him sleep, before seating herself on the bed and stretching out beside him. She reaches out and lays a hand on his face.
I said no, Anna. Get out.
The woman withdraws her hand but does not leave. Lights fade to black. Act 1, Scene 6. The lights come up on the office. It's the early hours of the morning. Jethro is sitting at the desk, a bottle gripped in his hand. There are 3 ghost soldiers milling about the room, someone flitting close by. Nathaniel enters. He cannot see the soldiers, but he can see Jethro is reacting to something unseen.
I thought I heard someone in here. They're always gonna be there, old man. No point trying to scare them off.
What do you know about it?
Well, I know those aren't flies you're swatting. Those dead boys will follow us until the ends of the earth,
Fuck off! Fuck off!
Bold words to a man twice your size and half your age.
I wasn't talking to you. But you can get off my land.
I think that I am fine and dandy right where I'm at. Sherry, is that your prissy English roots coming out?
There ain't nothing else.
The country goes to ruin, but here we are, come home to the old demons.
No, it's all gone now. Sold off like us. Our souls. Give it back!
Nathaniel places his hand reverently over Jethro's face and pushes him back into the chair. The fragile man stumbles back into his chair, tipping it over and tumbling to the floor.
You know, it's a wonder Anna found a way to keep from selling off this land. A damn miracle, really. No thanks to you and your legendary ride. You're as useless now as you were then, old boy. More evil. A burden, really.
I will not be spoken to. You are the useless one here. Why, you may not even be here. No more to me than those dead boys.
You really have become a halfwit. It's no wonder that you made it back so long before everyone else. You were dismissed. I'll bet my wages on it.
Not worth the wages. Now or before.
Why don't you have another shot on me, in honor of the dead? How many of them are there? Ooh, sharing a room with us. A shot for each, shall we?
I'll drink of my own accord, boy.
That's about the only thing you'll be doing for your own accord now.
Quit your bragging. Anna won't give you any more rain than she gives me.
Oh, now that was your first mistake. See, you're letting her bridle you in the first place. She's your daughter, for fuck's sake, man. And she's pulling on your reins like a damn plow horse. I remember a time when she was a puddle at your feet. Of course, I suppose it's about time things were the other way around between you, given how hard you rode her until I came into the picture.
She's a mother's daughter. She never was mine.
Wasn't she, though?
Hey, you got away! You got away!
The soldiers are murmuring and hissing at Jethro as they mill about in a more aggressive way now. They are beginning to duck into Jethro's space and speak into his ear, though what they're saying is unclear.
What do you know about it, Private? You may criticize my surgery, but you don't know anything about me.
God almighty, you're going completely mad, aren't you?
I'm not. The whole lot of you're all bad.
Perhaps we are. We all have our ghosts. Maybe it's saner to talk to them, So you go ahead, old boy. You talk to them all you like. It'll only make it easier for me.
Jethro is now passed out. The soldiers are milling about the corners of the room now, subdued. Slowly, they melt into the shadows.
Women's drink. Should have been drinking this during the war.
What on earth are you two doing at this hour? Good Lord. What have you done to him, Nate?
What do you think? I made the old goat swallow half his weight? No, darling, he did all of that on his own.
I don't know what to suspect of you, sir.
Mary?
Enjoy that, dear?
No, Pa. It's Anna. Mother's been dead for nigh on a year. Bad old thing.
What difference does it make? Hey! You speak about you get gone, you!
He's been talking to the dead all night, kitten.
Of course. I'm the one who has to nurse him through the damn bottle of ghosts in the morning.
Well, it was ghosts that let him into that bottle. Oh, just let him wallow in his misery. He's half gone.
Well, you'd like that, wouldn't you? If you had it your way, you'd lay him on his back and let him suffocate on his own bile.
It's not a terrible idea.
The difference between you and I seems to be that I would rather not go to prison for the momentary pleasure of watching him die.
Well, who would know? It would be a death of his own making. Plenty of men crawl into a bottle and find their maker in those glass walls. All the world is distorted from in there, and your thoughts echo back at you. It's simply easier to curl up into a man ball. A man ball. Oh, just let yourself drown.
You're certainly not speaking for experience, and he's better off upright in a chair. Just leave the old coot here, mind you. Don't come back in here to meddle with him further. It's bad enough already.
It would seem he's even further gone than we could have hoped for. We could have the land to ourselves if we wanted.
There's no we here, Nate. I don't know what scheme you're playing at, but I won't be party to it.
Very well. Then I'll be happy to pry those papers out of his hands myself after he signs the land over to me.
And what's gonna prompt that act of charity on his part?
Oh, the coot's half mad. I intend to play the hand given to me, Anna. That piss and vinegar tongue you've acquired had me thinking you had gained some fortitude to do the same. It would appear I'm mistaken.
I don't need to explain myself to you, Nate.
When did you accept my hand? Why? Your father had you well in hand and cared for by me.
You were the only one that could match my wit.
Had you any wit to match in those days, you wouldn't have needed me if you had. No, you just needed someone that could intimidate him off of your back. What a strange, twisted little beast you are. You'd hold that babe over both our heads.
Lights fade to black. Act 1, Scene 7. The lights are up on Jethro, who is standing on the porch, smoking his pipe in the early morning light. A bottle is on the railing before him. Anna enters from within the house, carrying a basket with a few gardening tools. The woman is half seen in the doorway.
I hope you can appreciate that between the two of you. The crop is swimming quickly. Alrighty, Pop. Good Lord, you're only proving Nate right, you know.
He has poisoned you against me.
Oh, heaven above, Pa. Now you see plots against you.
You're waiting for me to die. That's not a plot.
No, it's patience.
He needn't have been here to poison your mind. You blame me for all the ruin that's befallen this place. But where's his share of the blame? Huh?
At least he earns his keep.
Annabelle, get out of the dirt. You shouldn't be.
There's no one else to do it anymore, is there? You think any of those slaves stuck around once they realized there was no one that could keep them here? Those field hands ran off at the first opportunity, and neither Mom or I knew a lick about growing so much as a turnip. We just couldn't learn fast enough to keep Mom going.
Your mother never was good in health. She's been on borrowed time for years. Come on, up here, my Belle. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Pa, how would you know what to do? Down here in the dirt.
My hands have been covered in blood to keep a man alive. Surely they can keep turnips covered in the soil alive. Life is life. Basics are the same. Come on, it'll be good for me.
Thank you, Pa.
Annabelle, to see that life growing while everything else dies around us. Any new life is a blessing. This time, of course, but Annabelle, this baby.
Pa, stop it. This baby was conceived in a moment of sweat and shamed. It's no goddamn miracle. Mother would be ashamed of us standing here and feeling maudlin over circumstances that can't be undone. So, are you gonna get down to the earth or aren't you? Want to let the leaves grow at least a hand's height before pulling them. The next row won't be ready for at least another.
Annabelle.
Oh, fine, Pa. If you can harvest a bullet from a man, I'm sure you're mighty capable of something as simple as pulling turnips. I'll leave you to it and get to peeling then, shall I?
Anna exits. Jethro is left staring after her for a long while after she's closed the door. Out of his eye line, Anna watches her father from the window. The woman shadows her. As he digs, Jethro pauses, having found something strange in the soil. He pulls up a small white bone. He looks back towards the house, not seeing Anna in the window at his back, but thinks better of it and tucks the bone away in his pocket. He continues digging and pulling the turnips.
Dig. Keep digging. Let it crawl up under your nails. You're still covering yourself in blood.
Nathaniel enters the kitchen and steps up behind Anna, a gun slung over his shoulder, leaning against the doorframe.
I'm about to go look for yet another poor hare. Anyone else you'd like me to shoot?
I have little patience in the morning, Nate. Be frank or get gone.
Why haven't you put him in a sanitarium? He's gone round the bend. Surely you can see that.
Sanitarium? There are hardly nurses for the soldiers. What makes you think they have sanitariums running?
What makes you think you're able to run this place while your father lingers?
I need him to sign the papers to the land over to me. That's never going to happen if I put him away.
Put him out of his misery, Anna. Don't drag it out.
Drag it out for who? You? Besides, I thought you had had your share of killing.
And I thought you had the damn sense God gave a goat. He's a burden to us both. I've done worse than shoot a man to ease the load on other men.
This isn't the war anymore, Nate. Take off your coronal straps and simmer down.
There isn't anything in this whole damn country that isn't still the war.
This? Here. Us? It's not the war. Now, leave me alone, brute.
In one smooth motion, Nathaniel crosses swiftly, flipping his gun in the air, catching her by the barrel and whipping her across the cheekbone with the handle.
I didn't stand for back talk from my soldier, and I'll be damned if I'll have it from my own wife.
Should I salute you now? Only I'm not sure the formalities after one receives a buffeting from an officer.
I won't wait forever. I will deal with your father if you won't.
I won't tell you I told you so, Anna. Come on out here in the light. Let me look at the damage.
He pulls out a small vial of gunpowder and dabs some in the cup.
You're gonna have a mark to show for that for some time. You know I have no respect for that man. But I can't say that you didn't have it coming that time.
That man? I believe you're referring to my husband.
You put yourself in the arms of a cruel man.
In comparison to whom? Neither of us had ever labored under the illusion of love. Don't look so downtrodden, Pa. You and Mother never loved each other.
It's always my lot to adore those who would not possess. You seem to have inherited my pining heart.
I, in fact, do possess Nate. So what is there to pine for exactly?
A ring on your finger is not possession, Annabelle. You yearn for him, while he disdains you.
Anna halts in the doorway, her back to her father. The woman is face to face with her. Anna is completely unaware of her presence. She looks over her shoulder at Jethro.
Just lie to yourself if you must. I suppose we all must, just to get through the day. Just like I tell myself that your dead mother is not standing right there in the doorway.
Anna turns her head slowly to look ahead of her, and her face is inches from the woman's. Anna cannot see her still, but a chill is settling in her.
I must tell myself these things. You see?
A gunshot rings out in the distance. The woman withdraws slightly.
It would seem that supper will be more filling tonight. You have Nate to thank for that. I don't know who it is that you see, Pa, but Ma always said she knew her maker would take her, and nothing in this world could ever make her stay when her time came. Whatever it is that you're seeing, it's not mine.
Anna exits, barely missing brushing through the woman, and closes the door behind her as the lights fade to black. Act 1, Scene 8. The lights come up on Anna, who is walking towards the house with an envelope in her hand. She makes her way to Nathaniel's bedroom, crosses to his bags, and brushes her hand over them. The sound of the front door closing and footsteps mounting the stairs are heard. She plants herself on the bed. Nathaniel enters, carrying a gun after hunting, and pauses in the doorway. Ruffled at her presence, there is blood on his hands. He puts the gun aside.
What may I do for you, kitten?
He crosses to the wash basin on the dresser and begins rinsing off his hands. He dries his hands on a towel.
I'm tired, Anna. Be out with it. Why are you in here?
A letter came for you from one Thomas Williams.
Opening a man's correspondence is a punishable offense.
Well, in a civilized society, perhaps, but we're long past that, I think.
Give it to me.
Why did you come back?
I had no other option. Give it here.
No.
You are on thin ice, wife.
I don't believe that. If you hadn't returned, Pa and I would have assumed you dead. I think you'd find your way here again because you needed someone to lord over when you no longer had boys to whip. But now, this Thomas, he writes quite ardently.
You were on very thin ice, wife.
Oh, do show me the man behind all those cruel tales that found their way to me, of beaten soldiers and bloody boys. Show me. You crush my hands. You knock me into the ground, but there is more to you. I would know Colonel Nathaniel better. You strike that poor poetic soldier of dignity and still have the poor thing begging to crawl at your feet. Whatever it was that you did to him must have been so exquisite.
Get out!
If I begged you, would you want me then?
Jesus Christ, look at you. A cat in heat has more dignity than you. You are a different beast, and that grants you certain allowances. Be grateful for it.
The woman watches as Nathaniel continues to clean himself up. She approaches him slowly, stopping just behind his shoulder. Nathaniel senses something behind him. His face is mere inches from the woman's. The woman backs away slowly, relegating herself once again to the shadows. As the lights fade to black. Act 1, Scene 9. Lights up in the front of the house. Jethro is in a chair on the porch. The woman stands next to Anna, facing her. Anna is in the kitchen, facing out the window. Thomas Williams approaches the house from the audience. He has a gentle air about him. His clothing is worn and poor quality, darned in several places. He is limping. Jethro stands.
Hello, sir. I'm told that this is the Caldwell house.
It is.
I'm looking for Colonel Nathaniel Crane.
Does he owe you something?
A great deal of things, I'm sure, but I've never been one to keep track. This is a friendly visit from his second in command.
Anna comes through the door to the porch, the woman just behind the doorframe.
A friendly visit from a soldier is a hungry one.
I haven't much in the way of appetite, ma'am. Just looking to visit with the Colonel. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Williams.
Yes, I know who you are. Your letter made it into my hands.
You're a man, ma'am.
Colonel will be out back mending the pasture fence. Feel free to stay for dinner, Lieutenant Colonel.
Thank you, man.
What's this now?
None doing.
Anna exits back to the house as lights fade out. Act 1, Scene 10. The lights are up on Nathaniel in the pasture, crouched by a fence post. Thomas approaches them.
Colonel?
The war is over, Thomas. Use my damn name.
Yes, sir. Nathaniel, sir.
You're hopeless. It's a wonder you never made general with that bayonet up your ass.
It wasn't for lack of recommendations till I got to you.
No, indeed. It was a mercy that I didn't recommend you for that promotion. You wouldn't have survived it.
So, you're gonna be a father. Congratulations are in order.
What are you doing here, Thomas?
I should have thought that was clear. I suppose I had hoped to find some semblance of familiarity here.
Do I look like some kind of wet nurse to you? Get gone, Tom. There's nothing for you here.
And perhaps I was worried about you, about the state you sent home in.
And what state was that?
You were drunk as a weasel, Nate.
You came all this way to be assured that I had reached home safely. Lord, you'll be dressing me up as a debutante next.
I watched you walk through hellfire with the confidence of a boar, but returning home had you broken. I've never seen you drown yourself so much. To be frank, I'm worried about what you might do.
Well, as you can see, we're all fine. Now, why don't you go and get on home?
There was no home for me to return to. Not that you ever bothered to ask. Mom passed away a year ago.
You never said anything. So, you came crawling back to me. I should have known I'd have a lost pup following me.
A lost pup. I kept you in Colonel Stripes. I cleaned up your messes. You know you never once thanked me for any of it, come to think of it.
You were useful then. So now you want me to give you room and board in exchange for what precisely? Tumbles behind the barn.
I can work. Carry some of the manual labor.
What about that gimp leg?
I can find a way to make myself useful.
And what am I to tell them? That we've one more mouth to feed? And it isn't a simpleton, Thomas. She read your damn letter. There was no hiding from her.
I know my way around the farm. I'll earn my keep, Nate. You know I can do it. I'm not asking what you may think by me showing up here, but because honest truth, I just need a roof and food. I hope that I give you some warning by sending letters ahead of me.
Letters? How many of those damn things did you send?
There's two others, sir.
The one was damning enough. Damn it. Why are you so pitiful? You needn't try so damn hard. Well, fine. You stay for the night in the fucking barn, and I'll see what work I can find for you. But you take your orders from me, is that clear? And you'll steer clear of my wife. If you know what's good for you, the old man as well, you will not approach them, and you will not dine at our table, and you keep your goddamn distance from me. I will come for you when I damn well feel like it. Now finish wrapping that wire. Come on. You still smell like the trenches.
Nathaniel pushes past Thomas, bodily as he makes his way to the front steps of the house, where Anna and Jethro wait for him. The woman stands just behind Anna.
Mr. Williams will be staying with us in exchange for work.
Now see here, this is my land. I'll decide.
Oh, pipe down. We could use the extra hand. Soon I'll hardly be able to lift a finger to help around here, and I'm still carrying more than my fair share of the work. He is welcome, Nate.
Fine. For you, my Belle. But he stays in the barn.
I've already put him in there. He knows the rules. He's not to bother either of you. If you have need of him, you go through me.
Is he so dangerous?
Wearing that uniform and coming out on the other side alive makes him dangerous in itself.
I'll set an extra plate at the table then.
You will not. He will take his meals in the barn. He will sleep in the barn. He will not set foot in the house beyond the work I assigned to him. He is mine. Is that clear?
Yours. Yes, Nate. It's clear. I'll leave his meal at the barn doors like he's one of the livestock then.
Anna turns and exits into the house. The woman remains.
If he lays so much as a finger,
He wouldn't dare. He knows what I'm capable of, old man. He's the one who should be concerned.
Lights fade to black. Act 1, Scene 11. Lights come up on Thomas, cleaning tack in the barn. Anna enters, holding a tray laden with a plate and a cup. The woman follows her in and hovers just behind her. Nathaniel also enters from the opposite direction, but pauses outside of the barn upon hearing Anna's voice. He sinks back and listens in.
Your supper, Mr. Williams?
Thanks, ma'am.
You're welcome. Nate would have me leave it at the door as though you were some feral creature. You don't look like a danger to me.
I'll take my supper and leave you be, as ordered.
Let's put aside this silly notion that either of us are going to follow Nate's orders. I'll not treat you like a dog, and I'd appreciate it if you didn't do your best to drive me away. If I want to befriend you, there is nothing on God's green earth that would stop me.
I can appreciate your candor, ma'am, but if your husband were to find out.
Annabelle, please. Or Miss Anna, if that makes you feel more comfortable. I've given up formalities. I really see no need for them any longer. Do you? I can't see standing on call to impress anyone anymore. Let me handle Nate. Now, while you eat, I will tell you what needs to be doing around here. That's what my two ever so helpful men aren't going to notice needs doing, yes? So that coop roof needs to be facing before the rain comes. And the south side of the pasture fence is leaning terribly. The mare tends to push it on it to get to the sweeter grass, you see. The tack over there, it's in sore need of a conditioning. But now the gardening. Leave the garden to me. Or to Pa. It has a special meaning to me, you see.
Dear memories? I understand, Miss Anna.
In a matter of speaking.
I've no head for garden, Miss Anna. I'll steer clear. I'll start on the coop in first light.
Thank you, Thomas. May I call you Thomas?
Tom, if it pleases you.
And let us be secret friends. At least until I can talk some sense into that cat I call husband. I'm afraid Pa is equally as boneheaded. I could use a real gentleman around this place. Those two are positively prudes at times. So the tools are all behind the bales there, and if you need anything you don't see, it's likely against the south of the side of the house. Now I'll bid you good night, Thomas.
Good night, Miss Anna.
The woman watches him for a long moment before moving towards him. She hovers directly beside him. He shivers and looks around, as though sensing something, but upon seeing nothing, he goes back to his food. Nathaniel enters from the shadows, having watched the interaction from afar. Pausing to lean against the wall, the woman melts back into the shadows.
I didn't call her here. What was I supposed to do? Refuse to speak? Don't go blaming her either. She's just lonely.
Taking it as Stripe said, it's brass jail balls, hasn't it? So I've left her lonely, have I?
That's not what I meant, Nate.
That's exactly what you meant, Tom. I spent 3 years with your little mind games. I know when you're trying to sweet talk my wife.
Then let me remind you something, sir. I've seen you commit sins that would make decent men shriek. I've also heard you begging to be held while you nearly bled out. I felt you tremble in my arms. I'd like to think that I'm special, Nate. I'll bet you made damn sure that Anna has got begging for scraps of attention just as much as you have me. You made her right from playing, and I will play whatever games I must.
Keep your distance. The lights fade to black. Act 1, Scene 12. Anna enters from within the house. The woman watches from the doorway. Nathaniel is on the ladder, fixing the roof.
The storm is rolling in. Will you have that finished in time?
Well, if I don't, you won't be any worse off than you were before I showed up, will you?
Isn't that sort of work you brought Thomas to do?
He hasn't the balance for it with the bad leg.
Sometimes I think you keep him here just to lord over someone again.
You were the one that insisted on feeding him like a stray pup. When did the pain start?
It's been like this for a week. Not that you noticed.
Oh, I've noticed. I just didn't care to mention it. I'm surprised you've been carrying on with the housework the way you have. Impressed even, if I'm honest.
And yet, you let me carry on.
Oh, you never saw me coddling. Why would I offer it?
It would be an answered prayer to lose it.
At last, we agree on something.
Well, we agree on most everything. When have we disagreed on a decision about the day-to-day since you returned? You just like to make everyone around you miserable.
Do I now? I thought your pa had that role well in hand. He was muttering all night to himself. I couldn't sleep a wink.
Nate,
What now?
I need your help.
Lord, what now? Come on, out with it.
I need your help with the bales. Will you come?
Anna watches them suspiciously as Nathaniel climbs down the ladder. Nathaniel and Thomas make their way around the side of the house, out of earshot. Anna watches as the woman hovers over her shoulder.
We can't drink the well water. It's foul.
Shit.
It's the only water on the property, isn't it? I know there was an odd taste of the stew last night. I remembered a dead squirrel caused the same on my family farm, so I looked into it.
And
Body. Human. It's been in there some time.
probably one of those damn travel boys on some buck-stupid dare.
It's hard to tell anything with how rotted away it is, but it doesn't look like youth. It looks like a grown man.
Deserted it hid from a passing regiment a little too well then.
We'll need to pull it out. The longer it stays, the...
Anna comes from around the side of the house. The woman vultures behind her.
Pull what out?
A fallen tree in the well.
Yes, well, that will have to wait. I need you boys to finish that roof. And then you have
It
to...
will not wait. We need a pitch camp. There's no navigating that road on the new moon after sundown, and it's nearly dark now. Thomas, pitch the mare. I'll get the chain and the hook. We'll be back in the morning.
Blackout. Act 1, Scene 13. The lights come up on Nathaniel and Thomas standing beside a well, a corpse in a rotted Confederate uniform before them, the chain wrapped around its torso and pulled to the side.
Dear Lord, I thought we never did grow accustomed to the smell of wet rot. That's a hole in his head, bullet, maybe a hammer.
It doesn't matter now. Dead is dead. And you put it in a cart and we'll bury it at the edge of the property at first light. Let's set camp. I'm tired and cold. I'll build a fire.
As Thomas struggles to drag the body to the cart, his limp clearly makes the endeavor more difficult. Nathaniel builds a fire, ignoring the grunts of effort from Thomas.
I thought we escaped this.
I haven't found death to be especially partial to only battlefields. Did you think he would take a sabbatical after it was all over?
I thought we had escaped men playing Death's Hand.
Thomas manages to leverage the body into the cart, gagging at the smell as he does so. He makes his way over to the fire and sits beside Nathaniel.
You sought out the wrong refuge. dreams. Then, everyone in your family, this family has blood on their hands, even Anna, it would seem. She was awful adamant we not come out to the well, and now we know why.
Why would she?
Well, probably to steal food or the horse. Possibly he tried it on with her. Maybe he just looked at it the wrong way.
Do you think the guard?
Probably another damn pair of balls that happened upon her while she was in a foul mood.
If she's anything like the men I saw on the road here, well, I wouldn't blame a woman.
It doesn't matter. She's killed, we killed. What on earth was she thinking, dumping a body in the damn wells beyond me, a little imbecile? But then, it wouldn't be the first time trying to poison us all. Now we'll have to horse a new stream from over to Fallbrook. More work that we don't have the manpower.
No, wait, not the first.
Well, she tried it before we were married. Oh, it was a scandal around town for some weeks. She came into town with that old goat of a father, parading her about as a viable marriage prospect. Well, she slipped a lot of them into the wine bottles just before one of them big fancy dinners. Drank it herself, guzzled it in fact. I suspect she hadn't intended to survive it. Folks thought it was nerves, until she became sick. And then the other guests became sick. And no one could prove it, but everyone certainly suspected. They were outcasts after that for some time. No one would do business with the old man. They went waist deep in debt. But I saw my chance there. There was no competition for her. And though his business was sinking fast, it wasn't because...
Wait, she tried to kill herself, her father, innocent people?
She wanted out from underneath her father, and she didn't care who she took out in the process. You might well have done the same if you'd had to grow up with that. Now, do you still want to stay here but the secret fox behind the barn in a second? Is it worth the risk? Now that you know it.
Don't say it that way. I took a bullet to stay with you. Don't you dare ask me that as though you already know the damn answer.
Say it.
Nate.
Say it like you said it then.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
The lights slowly fade to black. Act 1, Scene 14. The lights come up in the barn in the evening as Thomas makes his way to the cot and slumps down on it, falling back against the wall. Anna enters. The woman lurks directly behind her shoulder.
I just wanted some company for the night. Might I join you?
Nate might well have our hearts for it.
Oh, he loves and he puffs, but he needs you. You won't do me any lasting harm, even if I beg for it. He gave me a glimpse of it, you know. That side of him he wrote about in those letters. That Nate that made ways to the enemy before him. Nate that had no mercy. Somehow, it made me want all the more. I suppose now you'll think you touched to the head.
She slowly crosses towards them, as though wandering aimlessly. The woman remains in the doorway.
He's not making empty threats, Miss Ann. You might consider yourself lucky that he's restrained himself regarding you.
Is that the reason you're offering me for following him here? That you might save his unsuspecting wife from your own husband?
No sane man would suggest you helpless, Miss Ann.
I wasn't supposed to love him. It was an arrangement, nothing more. What a sad creature I've become.
I feel that we are perhaps the same in many ways, Miss Anne.
You can't give me what I want from him, Thomas. You can't give me his adoration, and you certainly can't give me his cruelty. It's not in your nature.
No, but I understand you. You want to know him completely, even if it means bearing yourself to the beast he can be. But neither of us will ever truly understand him, and we will never receive the love we grasp for. We both know that.
Are you trying to ensnare me into your bed, Thomas?
I'm just offering you an understanding touch. There's more comfort to be found in that than lust, though I suspect you haven't been given the chance to learn that. You poor thing, hardly one of you knows the difference at all, do you? Come here.
Thomas, I need to ask you something. During the war, you discovered in my husband a man with his strength to protect you and all that war. In return, you made it your purpose to keep him in command, clean up his messes.
Miss Anne, that's not a question. You're merely quoting the letters I wrote to your husband, in which you made it your business to read.
You and I both know that Nate isn't the same man that he was 4 years ago. You even better than I, perhaps.
The man who hasn't changed through this is the dead man.
Pa came home even more of a drunk when he left. I had expected that. I can't help but to think that you're an even more compassionate man when you listen.
You do rather like to make assumptions about a man, don't you?
Am I wrong? Nate didn't come out like you, Thomas. Something happened out there in those bloody fields. He was always sharp, even cold on occasion, but now he...
We were buried alive in death and hatred. There was constant contest for to survive, even among our own boys. Did you really expect a kinder husband to return? Did he return to a softer wife?
He seems to relish in cruelty now. I don't shame him for it, not a lick, honest to God. If anything, I would. But he doesn't let me be a part of it. He's holding himself back. But this strike that made this mark here, it was almost disappointing.
If he's restraining himself to a mere cut, Miss Anne, be glad of it. There are parts of me that will forever bear the mark of his affection.
Why did you follow him, Thomas? After everything you wrote about in those letters, you're such a different man.
He's got his teeth in me. Why didn't you leave when you had the chance?
You, man. You think it's that simple? Just leave. If I had left, my only choice was to be in a whorehouse.
Given a pair of pants and a man's freedom, would you have left them to escape him?
He was the reason I stayed. As you said, he's got his teeth on me. Does he...
Please don't finish that question, Miss Anne. I don't have that answer, much as I might wish I did.
Act 1, Scene 15. The lights come up in the bedroom. Anna lies in the bed, pale and sweating profusely. Jethro is at her bedside, gently pressing on her belly. The woman hovers in the dark corners at the head of the bed. 3 shadow soldiers mill about behind. They are agitated.
No. It's a breach.
What is it, Pa?
Nothing. Nothing. You just give it some time.
Pa, tell me.
The baby, it's stuck, I think, but I can't be sure. I'm not.
Bah! You have to pull yourself together. You're a doctor, for God's sake. Do something! Oh, I'm scared. I'm scared, and I can't have you scared, too!
I am scared, darling. My Annabelle. The only thing I can do, I can't. I'd be risking too much.
Then you risk it, do you hear? Or smother me and be done with it. But I swear I will haunt you if I die laying here in my own sweat and piss and blood because you are a coward. Now do something!
The lights crossfade down on Anna's room and up on the porch, where Nathaniel and Thomas wait.
The thrashing, I could get to that.
I'm fairly certain that she's receiving a thrashing of her own without your help. You so worked up with vows. This is the natural order of things, you know? Man, woman, sex, bait. What part of that escaped you when you married her?
Even if she lives, I've already lost her.
Come again?
I'd actually come to admire the piss and vinegar spirit she had gained, but now I don't believe we could stand one another if she were to become some cooing maternal creature.
Why do you care so much, Nate? You've worn your disdain for your marriage like a badge, and used me to show her that.
Women are never the same after they have children, sentimental, obsessive creatures, a lot of them.
So that's it, is it? You should be the only object of her adoration. Yours to play like a fiddle. Or she spends the rest of her days in the shadows of your contempt, huh?
You seem to thrive here well enough. Perhaps you can be of some comfort to her.
You would rather the child or Anna expire then?
Mark me a monster if you will, but I'd rather watch that baby put in the ground. And I would rather see Anna bloated and rotted than...
Lord, I'd have given anything to have you look like that when my leg got blown apart.
I did.
Don't tell lies now, Nate. I deserve better.
I did, damn it. You were feverish, laying there half mad. I had the muzzle to your temple. My finger was on the trigger. And I was a breath away from pulling it.
Well, that would have been quite rude.
You don't understand. It would have been a kindness. I did you a disservice letting you live with that guilt.
But you didn't do it. Shoot me. Put me out of my misery. Why?
It would have been a wasted bullet.
The sound of a baby's cry is heard, and both men look toward the door expectantly. A moment later, Jethro enters, carrying a swaddled newborn.
Anna? Anna? You something!
Oh! Whatever you do, don't!
Jethro crumbles against the doorframe, still cradling the mewing infant. The woman steps out of the shadows, her face hidden, gazing at Jethro and the baby. End of Act 1.
And that's
Take a
intermission.
2-minute break so that you can walk around, go to the restroom.